account takeover is when an attacker gains unauthorized access to someone else's account. This usually happens through stolen credentials, automated password guessing, or phishing. Once they're in, they can make purchases, steal personal data, or lock the original owner out entirely. In this video, I'll show you how to use Fingerprint to add 2 layers of protection to a login flow, blocking logins after too many failed attempts from the same device, and rejecting logins from unrecognized devices. Let's start by looking at this unprotected login page. I'm going to go ahead and log in like normal. This is my normal browser that I would normally use, and I log in successfully. But now I'm going to log in from a different browser. You can also assume this could be a different device. Here I'm using Firefox, and I'm going to go ahead and log in using the correct password. And again, I'm able to log in just fine, even though this is a browser that I'd never used before with this account. Let's reset the database and try and log in again. But this time I'm going to pretend as if I don't actually know the password. Perhaps I got a list of passwords from some kind of data breach, for example, and I'm going to continue trying to guess the password over and over and over again. But let's say I get lucky and I actually am able to, get the right password. I can log in just fine, right? The server is only checking whether the credentials are valid. There's no record of failed attempts per device or whether that device has logged in before. So both these issues tend to go unnoticed and the attacker can log in just fine. Okay, now let's look and see what this looks like with Fingerprint. So I'm logging in from my normal browser using the correct username and password here, the email and password, log in just fine. I now come into Firefox, a browser I don't use with this account, try to log in, and the login fails. It's detected I'm not using the same browser or device and won't let me log in. Now I'm going to reset the demo database and try and log in as if I'm an attacker, trying out multiple usernames to try and log in and take over this account. I can continue to try because, sometimes you maybe have a typo, for example, but after a certain amount of times, it will stop allowing me to try. I am now getting the too many failed attempts message. If I try this in incognito mode as well, try and log in with that demo email and the password. Excuse me. Trying again, doesn't matter, still too many failed login attempts, right? Even if I try and log into a completely different account, I'm still going to get blocked based on my visitor ID. Fingerprint gives the server basically a way to identify the browser or device behind every request. So that makes it possible to count failures and recognize when a login is coming from an unknown device. Okay, so let's take a look and see how this is actually implemented. First, we add the Fingerprint JavaScript API client here, and we're going to go ahead and on that login, when that button is clicked, we're going to ask Fingerprint to identify the visitor. It's going to return to us an event ID that we can use to get the full identification events. So we're going to pass the event ID to our server. On the back end here, we're going to make sure to include the event ID along with our email and password when we're passing it to the attempt login function. Now we're going to add the Fingerprint Server API client using our secret API key. Make sure to never reveal that on the front end. And we're going to bring in the event ID along with the email and password. Now the first thing that we can do is use the event ID to get the full identification details. This includes things like whether the visitor is a bot, some kind of automation, whether they're using a VPN or a virtual machine, all kinds of things. We also can bring in the visitor ID that we return. This is a stable identifier that doesn't change even if the IP address changes or if cookies are cleared. We're going to use that visitor ID to link together login attempts. So in this case, we're going to say if you have more than 3 recent failed login attempts, we're going to block you and we're going to log that failed attempt with the visitor ID. So if we take a look at these helper functions, you can see we're just using some basic SQL queries here to get recent failed attempts within the last 24 hours, and to also log a failed attempt using the visitor ID with that email address. The next thing that we want to do, if we come back up here, is when we are using when we're doing the username and password checks, if they fail, and also you should do a better password check than this, but if they fail, we're going to use that login failed attempt function. Next, we're going to check to see if this account has been logged in before, and if so, what visitor ID was used to log in, or what browser and device was used to log in. So what we're going to do here is we can say, has it successfully logged in before, right? We're using that visitor ID, and we can use that together, those two functions together, to say, hey, if you have logged in before and the visitor ID that's being used to try and log in now is not the same one that you used before, we're going to fail that login attempt. Now, I mentioned we have some other things that we're bringing to you with that event identification. First of all, we're bringing to you bot detection, so we're going to use that here as well. We return to you good, bad, or not detected, so anything that's not detected can be blocked. Same thing here with our suspect score. The suspect score brings together our smart signals into a single number. The higher the number, the more suspicious. That means the more anomalous. Finally, if you make it through all the checks, then we're going to log a successful attempt using the visitor ID so we can check it on later. Okay, so let's reset the demo database, start fresh, refresh everything, great. And we're going to log in like normal using the email and the correct password, just like I normally would in my normal Chrome browser here, the green browser. I log in just fine. Now we're going to log in from a different browser, or it could be a different device. And even though I'm going to use the correct password, you'll see that the login failed, right? It recognized that I'm not logging in from the same browser or device that I used before. You can see in the unrecognized device message here in the server logs as well. Let's reset the demo database and start fresh. I'm going to log in or try to log in as an attacker. Maybe I'm trying to go through my list, right? Maybe I'm using common passwords, for example. Maybe there's a data breach. But after a certain many attempts, I'm no longer allowed to log in. And even if I open this up and try and log in here, even from a different account, for example, in incognito mode, it doesn't matter. I'm still not able to log in. I'm recognized using that visitor ID. So credential checks alone can't tell you that the same device has failed 10 times in a row, or that a valid password is being used from a device that has never logged into that account before. Fingerprint fills that gap by giving you a reliable identifier at the device level. Now, in a real implementation, you probably would tune the failure threshold, maybe add some rolling time window, add a step up or additional verification instead of just hard blocking any unrecognized device, since people obviously can use different devices or browsers to access their account like normal. But this full tutorial is available for you to check it out, try it for yourself, along with step-by-step instructions and the sample application. So give it a try for yourself and take care.